Hello and welcome back to Go Game Nation, where we bring you all things TCG. My name is Preston. I'm here with Sam. Say hello.
Hello, I'm back. It was one episode away, but back on the mic.
Back in action for a great video we have in store for you today. It's Meta Monday. Check out news for any updates for the channel and to see what's happening in set 3. But back in the past over here in the West and North America, we're running up against the Treasure Cup starting in February. The first one's going to be in Long Beach, not too far away from us. And I even think we might have some of us in it. Not me and Sam. We're too slow on the clicks, but I believe Zach got in, so we'll try to cover it as best as we can through him. Um, with that being said, this is a huge tournament for One Piece and starting out a North America tour and all of the English tournaments. What are we gonna see? So we want to do a really nice Meta Monday to get you guys ready for what to expect in Treasure Cup. You're either going to be playing these decks or you need to be able to beat these decks, and that's kind of the format we're going with today. So let's jump into the first one.
Absolutely. Preston's hit it on the head. We're going to be featuring decks that you guys should be probably already seeing in your locals, or a deck that you've been playing yourself. This is a popular kid list that we had found earlier, doing very well in the tournaments. Won this very large, 21-man tournament. So let's just jump into it. Kid was a leader that we had seen a lot of in the East. Incredible success, probably the leader that was most successful. So you got to be able to play against it. Big cards that we have to be aware of are the end game. Basil, Kid, and to the 8-drop Kid have been menaces all set one here and in the East. So we have to have answers for this for whatever deck we're playing.
Absolutely. And then there's the flip side of if you're playing this deck and you see a mirror match. When I was playing it, Basil was my biggest mirror match card. Being able to get Basil out and play it properly is the biggest deal for mirror match, I think. Being able to clear properly, keep him on the board. A lot of the time I was attacking with him once and just restanding so that he was safe. And my opponent was doing the same. So it was a pretty tense match. Other cards that are interesting that is being played a lot more here is the Beppo. I don't think Beppo was as prevalent in the Japan tournaments that it was in. But for some reason, people love it here. It might just be another 2K counter. I don't get it.
Yeah, it's basically taking the place of Paradise Waterfall. Paradise Waterfall cost 1 mana, was a 2 case combo, but this was a free. So we're just not valuing the restand as much defensively. It is
Right.
definitely one of the tweaks that we have seen here. Other than that, it's pretty, it hasn't changed too much from the version in the East, but still, nonetheless, it's still a very powerful leader. Playing against this deck is definitely going to be important in this Treasure Cup. So play with it or be comfortable playing against it. Kid.
Yeah, and watch your opponent's faces when they hit Momo and Bonnie. If their face just drains of life, they whiffed, and then they play the other searcher and they whiff again like I do.
Oof.
They're now tilted,
Uh,
and you can just egg that out of them.
wow.
Make sure that they don't get to use it again. Don't let them use their searchers twice. They have too many of them as it is.
Yep.
Punish them when they use them. Do what you can to clear them so that they only get one search and not four.
Mm. Personal experience there?
Absolutely. I love being able to use Bonnie twice.
Oh
If you let me use
no.
Bonnie twice, I feel like I'm on top of the world. Um,
Weirdly, I would probably think that's game over. If you ever get Bonnie off twice, that's usually pretty devastating. Speaking of getting Bonnie off multiple times, there can't be a leader. Oops, that's the wrong tweet. Ooh, I closed it. I am so sorry. Where is the law tweet? I will put it in the description. I had it open, I swear.
absolutely.
But this leader is another leader known for playing a lot of Bonnies and Momos often, even with Nami as well. Law is a leader that we saw in the East become very, very popular of late. And if you see it here in the West, you should probably be wary, because that pilot probably played this leader a lot. He is an expertise leader. You have to be putting a lot of hours into him. But if you are playing him, you know that. But if you haven't and you haven't played a lot of it, I suggest getting comfortable playing against it.
Yeah, absolutely. You do have a small advantage playing against it. They are starting at 4 life, but they're also starting with the two best colors of set one in their deck. So be aware, just because they have 4 life does not give them a disadvantage with this deck. They have three searchers in set one. This deck specifically is playing Momo, Bonnie, and Nami. The one that I think we did with Zach, we did a deck list of this. We really early on we just did a Nami Bonnie version, which is also good. Being able to have three searchers and always hit is a bit scary, so maybe switching it up to focus on either Wano and Straw Hats or Supernova and Straw Hats can give this deck more consistency. But if you can search 3 times, why not? I think that's if you feel confident trying to hit your like 4 cards that are options in for Wano in this build specifically, go for it. Why not?
Yeah, I think if you're playing this deck, know all your options, right? You have so many cards that you can play. Test them all. I would recommend testing them all and figuring out what you prefer, because some lists definitely cater to different pilots. If you're playing against this deck, same kind of advice. It's very hard to prep for Law. It's very tough because you don't know what necessarily they're going to be playing. So get comfortable playing against the Law mechanic. Know that they're trying to build 5 board. So clear their character cards. Don't let them achieve that, because once they do, stuff gets messy. So either beat them early or control them. It's probably the best
Yeah,
little bit of advice I could give.
absolutely. And you know these few cards at the top end of this deck are only going to be 5 drops. There's going to be a very, very, very small number that's going to play the 7 drop kid and the 8 drop kid. They're on something because they're not shamblesable. The leader effect to swap does not work with those guys. So most of these decks have a top end of 5, and they're just going to start swapping those guys out as much as they can to get repeatability on their effects. Especially going out of a Law into a Zoro, or out of a Zoro into a Law, or something like that, or out of a Searcher. Gross. If you pull a Searcher off your board after you use it and you throw a Law or a Zoro or a Luffy on board, that's nothing but goodness for the Law players. So if you do, like Sam said, if you do see a Law player, they are probably very confident or cocky, and you're just going to blow them out. So either they're going to destroy you, or they're way too confident and you're just going to destroy them. I don't think there's an in between. There's no in betweens. They're going to beat you just simply, or you're going to beat them and they had nothing going for them. Um, so just be aware that this deck is a high skilled deck, and players that are confident enough to play it in a huge tournament have their hands down and they know what they want to do. So be aware when you see a Law.
Yep. Practice against it. Practice against it. It gets a little
Absolutely.
easier once you play a little bit into it. And another deck that wasn't so popular, I would say, in the East, it definitely was falling off. But here in the West, especially over in this area, if you're coming from somewhere a little further for this tournament, this is definitely a list deck that I would be wary of. This gentleman had a very successful tournament with it, and we're gonna highlight his deck. This deck might not be the exact one you run into, but the idea of it is exactly what we're trying to get across. It's a very, very aggressive 2 drop 4K Zoro list.
Yeah, I think this is the best thing that we can talk on for this meta, for especially the first big tournament, since it's kind of more local and we know a few people that are going from our locals. Be aware of the Zoro list. It's really aggressive. It's pretty darn consistent because you have enough options that are sitting in that range. And since you're playing 2 drop 4Ks with one Dawn attached to that Zoro leader, they're coming for your leader every attack at 5K minimum. Um a lot of these will add a couple Dawn to each character so that they're getting 6 to 7K, because they're not bringing very expensive cost characters. Uh, they might be swinging with Namis. They might be swinging with anything, really. So you have to be aware that when you see this, they're just coming for your head every turn. They're going to clear your board, and then they're going to just not let you have any board presence.
Right.
Um,
Whether or not the deck is good, I don't. That jury's still out on that. I don't know myself. I think it's a little I think it's a little inconsistent, if we're being honest, but nevertheless, it's a deck that you need to be prepared for. I do expect to see it in high count, so your list, whatever we're playing, you should feel comfortable playing this if you do run into it. Just want to put it on the radar, and for the players playing this, feel comfortable playing into the other matchups that we talked about. Those are two of the reasons why this list started to fizzle out a bit in the East. So feel comfortable in these matchups, guys. They can be tricky.
Yeah, and like you're saying, this list might not be the exact thing you're going for. The promo Luffy, the 3-drop 3K that this person's playing 4 of, most people, I mean, if they're going to this tournament, they might have access to 4, but this is a little bit harder to get of cards, and it's a pretty pricey card if they're not going to tournaments and picking them up. So you might not see very many of those, but you're definitely seeing Sai 2-drop 4K. This only has 2. I think we've seen them as high as 4. Just because this deck wants 4K attackers on board. They're gonna. I've seen some not even play choppers. They play even more aggressive, and you don't need blockers when you're just attacking every turn. They don't have time to run an attack through for you to block with because they have to get other stuff off your board, or you're just going face every turn against them. So they might have blockers in their deck. This deck is also, I feel like, really iffy on counter. Um, there's quite a few just in this version: Sanji, Uda, Zoro, 5-drop Luffy, Chopper. Like, it's iffy. I feel like you can attack into each character when you're playing against this, and they're probably not going to defend it because they're going to be worrying and holding those counters for life. So you can try to clear board. I think that's the best thing to do against this deck is make sure that they don't keep attacking into you every turn. The problem is, will you keep characters on board to be able to do that? So you have to balance and see what you can do. Just trying to make sure they don't keep that board advantage that they can very easily build up.
Deck's very glass cannony, right? There's not a lot of draw. We're not hitting their life or clearing their board. And eventually, they're just going to have 1 or 2 cards left, and this is when you can turn your jets on. There's a lot of different ways, depending on what you're playing, to beat this, but again, just wanted it to be on your radar. It might not be in your locals where you are, but typically in this area, I see it once or twice just around me in the vicinity when I play, so just want you guys to be aware of it. Don't want this to take you by surprise when you come down this way. And
Yeah.
that would be our really early Meta Monday Long Beach Treasure Cup tournament review.
Yeah, look forward to it. I'm hoping that the tournament people, I think it's Core TCG, really big tournament holder out here, post the deck list. If they do, look for a Meta Monday featuring the first Treasure Cup winners. Um, and hopefully we're there and we can get to talk to some of the players and hopefully one of our guys is the winners because then we can get a little interview going with them. So fingers crossed we see some friends of GGN up there on the podium at the end of the day.
Hey, that would be pretty cool, man. Hey, guys, thank you so much for watching. If you are still here, please do all of the YouTube things. Like, comment, subscribe. Check out this video if you haven't seen it. I'm linking it right there. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.
Later.